Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a Swiss International Airlines flight had to be diverted into Bangor yesterday. We'll bring you the details coming up. Plus, a man accused of running over a family in Lincoln is now facing new charges. We'll have the very latest on that as well. And the University of Maine Cooperative Extension is teaching kids how to harvest their own food this summer. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up. And as always, we thank you for joining us. Now for the weather today, the clear skies and sunshine will continue with temperatures reaching the 80s. Let's start off by getting a first check of our forecast. Devin Biggs joins us now.
All righty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Tuesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes. Now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote, 207-263-3421. All righty, here we go this morning. We have no advisories in effect. We had a little bit of precipitation to the northwest earlier overnight, but now we are nice and quiet across the state. We'll have some clouds moving in throughout the daytime period, but we are going to stay dry thanks to high pressure, again, that is right nearby. As we do zoom things out, there is some energy moving in, some showers and thunderstorms to parts of the northeast, but again, we will stay dry today and also in the parts of tomorrow, but also showers and thunderstorms moving into our forecast period coming up. But for today, here's what we're looking at. So a partly cloudy sky today. Notice some precipitation to the west. We'll have more clouds moving in later on tonight. Yes, some fog as well. But as we head towards your Wednesday, the clouds will continue to linger. So for today, partly cloudy, breezy out there with highs in the mid-80s and that south wind at around 25 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward, again, a partly cloudy sky with temperatures in the 80s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
All right, thank you, Devin. Well, a Swiss International Airlines flight headed to New York was forced to make an emergency landing here in Bangor Monday afternoon. It happened after the crew reported smoke in the cockpit. Our Alex Schley spoke with passengers about what they say happened on board.
292 souls on board, 10,000 pounds of fuel remaining, reporting an active fire in the cockpit, not able to put it out.
Just after 12 o'clock Monday afternoon, a Swiss International Airline Airbus A330 en route from Zurich, Switzerland to New York's JFK Airport diverted to Bangor.
When the pilot came over and said, we've got an emergency, that there's smoke in the cabin.
Passengers and coach told our reporters that while they didn't see or smell anything, it quickly became apparent that something was wrong.
The entertainment center went off completely, it went black, and then all of a sudden we noticed the plane going a bit faster, and Joshua noticed that it was turning, and then obviously we started going down. I was like, this is not normal, seeing the flaps go up and how far out we were.
Passengers say from there, the events transpired quickly.
So it was probably about 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
So you were far?
Yeah, we literally just went from there straight down to the ground.
It was a quick descent. My ears were starting to pop.
Once on the ground, passengers say they waited on the runway for about 2 hours while emergency crews inspected the aircraft.
We just know that the fire brigade were coming on board. They said they wanted to come on board and check. They checked the plane, make sure it was okay. The pilot wasn't happy for the plane to continue because they don't know where the smoke came from. So they've just sort of said, we're just going to wait and speak to Zurich.
Just after 3 o'clock, the aircraft pulled into the international gate, where passengers disembarked, cleared customs, and were escorted to the domestic terminal. Passengers say the airline booked them on a replacement flight that's scheduled to leave Bangor around 6 o'clock Monday night. In a statement, a spokesperson from the airline said in part, quote, "At this time, we cannot yet say with certainty what may have caused the smoke. In a situation like this, we take no risks, which is why our crews always choose the safest course of action and act out of an abundance of caution." While the cause remains under investigation, nearly 300 passengers are expected to make it to New York by the end of the day. In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, meanwhile, a home in Trenton was destroyed by a fire on Monday morning. According to the Trenton Fire Department, crews were called to 67 Baxter's Ledge Road a little before 5 a.m. They say when they arrived, they found fire extending through the roof of that home. The resident escaped prior to firefighters arriving and was taken to the hospital for treatment. A dog was also safely rescued from the home and was uninjured. Crews from 7 different towns assisted there. The Trenton Fire Department says early indications suggest the fire started on the exterior of the home, but the cause remains under investigation by the State Fire Marshal's office. Well, the driver facing charges for allegedly hitting a family during Loon Fest in Lincoln is back in custody just days after posting bail. Lincoln police say Carl Hartley of Mattawamkeag was arrested on Sunday for allegedly leading police on a chase and then crashing into a cruiser. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
A man accused of running over a family in Lincoln is facing new charges. Lincoln police say 57-year-old Carl Hartley of Mattawamkeag fled from officers following reports of erratic driving. A chase ensued and ended with Hartley allegedly striking a police cruiser in a parking lot. Nobody was injured. Hartley was arrested on several charges, including operating under the influence of drugs and violating bail conditions.
About a week ago, last Saturday, he was involved in a vehicle crash that hit several pedestrians during Loon Fest.
According to police, Hartley had been released from jail on bail in connection to the crash that injured a family of 4 only days before this latest arrest.
I'm sure it's frustrating to the people, especially people in Lincoln, that were very frustrated last week that this happened, and now we're dealing with a situation where, he hit a police car, he could have hurt somebody.
Under Maine law, most standard bail violations are Class E misdemeanors rather than felonies. Chief Miller attributes that lack of deterrence to the rising number of repeat offenders.
Yeah, certainly it's not something that the municipalities are going to solve or law enforcement's going to solve. We just can follow what basically we're given for those laws and case law and that sort of thing. So we certainly have to follow that part of it. But certainly for us it can be frustrating.
Bail was set at $10,000 for the new offenses. However, he remains in custody without bail on the alleged violation of conditions. In Lincoln, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, police are asking for the public's help in locating a missing Aroostook County man. 43-year-old Jason Kirschman was last seen in October of 2019. He was last known to be in the Boundary Lane area of Hamlin. Kirschman is described as a white male about 5 feet 10 inches tall and approximately 170 pounds. He has brown hair and blue eyes. Anyone with any information is asked to call the Maine State Police at 924-2261. Well, after this weekend, we now know that the U.S. Senate race in Maine is officially set, as former Maine Senate President Troy Jackson will be the Democrat who faces off with Republican incumbent Senator Susan Collins. All eyes now turn to the general election this November. We spoke with University of Maine Political Science Chair Mark Brewer about the implications for this weekend's convention and Jackson's victory. He says Jackson's most immediate challenge is getting up to speed, both in terms of fundraising and messaging, which will be no easy task.
As a first-time Senate candidate, you don't just snap your fingers and get the equivalent of a 5-term United States senator who's running for a 6th. You just don't do that. So it's a matter of time, I suppose, to a certain degree, which, again, given that we're less than 100 days, Jackson doesn't have the luxury of.
Brewer stressed that while this is mostly a disadvantage for him, he says Jackson does have a legitimate shot.
This is still anybody's race, right? This idea that because of all of the things that have happened to the Democrats, that this race is now locked down for Collins and the Republicans, that's just not true, right? This is still anybody's race to win.
Well, in other news this morning, Senator Angus King is introducing legislation to protect elections from interference and tampering. The Shield Our Elections Act would allow state attorneys, generals, and impacted voters to sue when federal officials unlawfully intervene with or intimidate them at polling places. King says it strengthens accountability by extending the statute of limitations from 5 years to 9 for key federal election crimes. That includes interference by armed forces and voter intimidation. The law would allow legal actions to be brought by future administrations for past actions. And it also protects ballots from improper seizure by limiting when state or federal law enforcement may seize ballots or election equipment. Senator King says, quote, "The Shield Our Elections Act reinforces those fundamental principles and sustaining public faith in elections that are conducted fairly, impartially, and constitutionally, while strengthening accountability for those who attempt to undermine our electoral system." Meanwhile, the ICE agent who shot and killed a man in Biddeford earlier this month is under review. 37-year-old David Brulette was shot and killed 25-year-old Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero on his way to work 2 weeks ago. Brulette's exes told the Associated Press that he has a history of violent behavior. Sam DeCoste reports a top White House official claims that should have been flagged in his background check.
ICE has about 30,000 employees. They all go through vetting, and this is a kind of a rare instance.
Every time someone applies to ICE to carry a badge and a gun, the agency investigates each person's character and conduct. White House border czar Tom Homan says the vetting process is meant to spot red flags.
Did the vetting process fail? Was that information not available? Did they not know? So there's a separate administrative investigation on what happened here.
The man identified as the involved agent by his ex-partners, David Brulette, does not have a criminal record in Maine. But if he indeed had a history of domestic violence and mental health struggles, Holman says it still should have been noticed. I reached out to the Department of Homeland Security and asked if these allegations are true, why weren't they caught? DHS did not give us a direct answer, saying it will not identify the agent. The response in part, quote, "Our law enforcement officers are on the front lines arresting terrorists, gang members, murderers, pedophiles, and rapists. Publicizing their identities puts their lives and the lives of their families at serious risk." It's the same response they gave us last week. We also spoke with Darren Mott, a former FBI special agent. He says ICE agents are not inherently violent, but they often work in volatile environments.
They're 99.7% of the time good people looking to do the right thing for the right reason at the right time. Was this the right thing at the right time? We won't know until the investigation is complete.
Holman also noted ICE is reviewing its internal training for new recruits. But Holman says if Brulette's alleged history is true,
I don't think he should ever cleared vetting.
DeCoste reporting there. Well, the time now is 8:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, President Trump is planning for a new 50% tariff on Canadian imports. We'll have the details ahead. But first, another look at the forecast. For today, partly cloudy and breezy with temperatures in the mid-80s. Overnight tonight, mostly cloudy with some areas of dense fog, temperatures in the upper 50s. And for tomorrow, mostly cloudy and breezy, highs around 80. We'll be right back.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
Mainers work hard. Our leaders should too. Like Senator Susan Collins, who just cast her 10,000th vote.
The first senator in U.S. history to reach that mark without ever missing a vote.
Collins worked with Democrats to keep the Gulf of Maine open for our fishermen, kept our shipbuilders on the job with new funding, and Collins expanded health care for rural Mainers. No drama, just hard work and results. Call. Ask Senator Collins to keep working hard for Mainers.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Thousands of kids like Caroline receive life-changing care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center each year, the only full-service pediatric program north of Portland. You can help support them by joining the Summer Classic 4 Maine Kids Golf Tournament, happening July 31st at Bangor Municipal Golf Course, benefiting the Children's Miracle Network at Eastern Maine Medical Center, Every dollar raised supports pediatric care today, tomorrow, and for years to come. Ready to tee up for a great cause? Visit northernlight.org/4kids to learn more and register today.
President Trump plans to put in place a new 50% tariff on Canadian imports. Brad Rogers looks at the impact it could have on Maine families and businesses.
Autos has been really targeted by the Trump administration, and the automobile sector is highly integrated with Canada and Mexico.
President Trump says one goal of the tariffs is to bring jobs and manufacturing back to the U.S.
They went to Mexico and Canada. They went to Japan. They went to South Korea, car businesses, a lot of businesses, and now they're coming back home where they belong.
After the Supreme Court struck down previous tariffs, President Trump plans to use the Tariff Act of 1930, which worsened the global economic crisis during the Great Depression.
What we're seeing from the administration as they're trying to find new legal mechanisms to impose tariffs.
Local attorney Mark Segrist, who specializes in international trade and customs law, says if the new tariffs go into effect, they will have a dramatic impact on Maine consumers.
Anytime there's a tariff that's imposed on a product crossing the border, the importer in the United States is the one that's ultimately paying that tariff, and most likely they're passing that tariff cost on to consumers.
A local plywood supplier who imports products from Canada says Canadian suppliers won't respond by raising plywood and lumber prices by 50%. He says they'll raise prices on all their products, passing tariff costs on to Maine consumers. The new tariffs will not impact Canadian Power that provides electricity to families in northern Maine, nor will it impact the lobster industry and other fisheries. But a trade war could lead to higher prices and fewer Canadians vacationing in Maine. Maine State Chamber of Commerce leaders hope for a resolution that leads to trade fairness and predictability.
You know, from our perspective, we always support a president trying to push for the best trade deal for Maine and the United States.
Barring negotiations or a possible court injunction, the new tariffs are expected to take effect on August 19th.
And that was Brad Rogers reporting. Well, meanwhile, the Bangor Red Cross is seeking blood donors 2 weeks after the organization declared a nationwide emergency blood shortage. The American Red Cross announced the emergency shortage on July 13th. The organization says the national blood supply fell 25% last month, and it has not seen enough donations over the summer to keep up with the demand, prompting the second ever national blood crisis in Red Cross history. Executive Director at the Red Cross of Northern and Eastern Maine, Caroline King, says that donating blood is critical to provide relief to local hospitals and healthcare organizations, and it is easy to do.
There is not enough blood on the shelf. There are not enough people making appointments to donate blood. So we are worried that this is going to start to impact patient care. So please make an appointment if you're able and eligible to give blood. It's an hour. It's quick, it's easy, doesn't hurt. You need someone to hold your hand, I'm always available.
King says the Bangor Blood and Donation Center, located at 900B Hammond Street, has recently been renovated and will be open from 11 to 7 today. They encourage the public to schedule an appointment by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS, visiting redcrossblood.org, or using the Red Cross Donor app. Well, the time now is 8:18. After the break, singer David must now stand trial in a teenager's murder. We'll have the very latest coming up on that. Plus, severe storms throughout the Midwest causing major destruction. Those stories and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone and Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. Outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
Hank's Husqvarna is your trusted full-line Husqvarna dealer, offering you everything you need for your outdoor projects. From high-performance lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers to chainsaws, trimmers, battery-powered and powerful snow blowers, we have just what you need. Every piece of equipment is fully set up, serviced, and ready for use by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty. For parts, service, or new equipment sales, make your way to Hank's Husqvarna in Carmel or Newport.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brooklyn.
Severe damage left behind by tornadoes and flood threats from the Midwest to the East Coast. We're seeing new images of that destruction ahead of another day of major travel delays. ABC's Sophie Flay has more.
From powerful tornadoes to blinding rain, a line of severe storms slamming the Midwest. AccuWeather storm chasers tracking a twister near Appleton, Wisconsin. Multiple cars buried under twisted sheet metal. This camping trailer flipped on its side. The National Weather Service estimating it was an EF2 packing winds of at least 111 miles per hour, toppling power lines and causing transformers to explode. The tornado carving a path of destruction through the area. The city of Menasha taking a direct hit, prompting the mayor to declare a local state of disaster.
I headed down to the basement with my kitty. And when I come up, it's like a war zone here.
The view from above shows roofs ripped from homes and businesses destroyed, including this bakery. Down on the ground, cars crushed under debris, others tossed like toys, the windows of this building blown out. The storm's also hammering the Chicago area, triggering flash flooding and leaving a trail of damage.
It's like some huge dinosaur just stomped on everything.
Buildings ripped open, debris scattered across streets. Overnight, hundreds of thousands of customers without power across the region. The severe weather bringing air travel to a halt. Chicago's O'Hare seeing delays of 6 hours. More than 1,600 flights canceled nationwide. The storm system now pushing east after a separate round of storms already pounded parts of New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Flood watch is in effect today along the I-95 corridor from Philadelphia to New York. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
The time now is 8:23. Let's get a full look at our forecast. Meteorologist Devin Biggs is in with the latest.
All righty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Tick Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes. Now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote, 207-263-3421. All righty, here we go. Wave heights this morning not looking too bad. Right around 2 feet according to the buoys right here. While further off towards the north and east, a lot lower, so overall no advisories in effect along the coast or inland either. So overall we're looking very nice as we start things off this morning. A little bit active farther out towards sea this morning, ranging from around 3 to 6 feet. Water temperatures right now, we're in the middle to upper 60s right nearby, a little bit cooler further off towards the north and east. We have upper 50s according to this buoy to upper 60s right there, and lower 70s farther down toward the south. On land this morning we're nice and quiet. You do notice we have a little bit of rain. There it is right there. That developed overnight, but that has since fizzled out. So overall, a quiet morning across the state. Our area of low pressure getting its act together. There it is right there. And that's going to be slowly moving into our neck of the woods over the next few days, bringing with it showers and, yes, even some thunderstorms. So overall, a partly cloudy sky expected today. Some rain at times to the north and also to the west. We'll be under a mostly cloudy sky tonight with areas of dense fog. And through your Wednesday will be mostly cloudy, a few breaks in the clouds at times throughout your Wednesday. And then by Wednesday night, the clouds continue. The rain's going to try to move in, albeit slowly, but it will eventually move in. UV index forecast for today, it'll still be up there at a 7. That's high. Burn time of 30 minutes, so hats, sunglasses, sunscreen, and shade still necessary to avoid a bad sunburn. So for today, partly cloudy and breezy with highs in the mid-80s and that south wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. Later on tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll have areas of dense fog with lows in the upper 50s and that southeast wind at about 5 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, we have lower 80s, mostly cloudy and breezy, and that southeast wind at about 25 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast. Thursday, showers and thunderstorms with highs in the lower 70s, lower 80s coming up for your Friday with more showers and thunderstorms. We dry out as we head towards your Saturday, partly cloudy with highs in the mid-80s.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Bob's Discount is about to go even further. The Massachusetts sales tax holiday is officially the weekend of August 8th and 9th, but you can pre-select right now at Bob's Discount Furniture. That's right, pick out your furniture now, in-store or by phone, and save the sales tax. We'll write your order and process it over the tax-free weekend. Because when you save the sales tax, Bob's Discount goes even further, with no phony sales and no phony gimmicks ever.
Oh my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
Troy Jackson bragged about being one of Graham Plattner's earliest supporters. When the news of Plattner's Nazi tattoo came out, Jackson stood with Plattner. When Plattner blamed women for getting raped because they get drunk, Jackson stood by Plattner. And when the media reported Plattner was violent toward women, Jackson stood again with Plattner.
I want to say thank you very much to Troy.
Don't be fooled by Troy Jackson. He's another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
It's a big, big deal. Summer is a big deal at Toyota.
It's the final days of Toyota's Big, Big Deal Summer Event, where you could get an affordable $315 a month lease on a ruggedly refined, fuel-sipping Tacoma SR5 with a $16,024 total contract cost. Summer's a big, big deal at Toyota, the longest-lasting brand with the best resale value. So see your New England Toyota dealer.
It's a big, big deal.
Toyota, let's go places.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Welcome back, everyone. As the war in Iran enters its 6th month today, President Trump is hosting 2 wartime leaders at the White House, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Ukrainian President Zelensky. ABC's Karen Watt is in Washington with the details.
It's been 5 months since President Trump started the war with Iran. Back in March, he said it would last up to 5 weeks.
Right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that.
Today, President Trump is hosting both Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Ukrainian President Zelensky. Things could get tense. Israel fears a U.S. deal with Iran would only strengthen Iran, while Ukraine recently attacked an Iranian ship it believed was carrying weapons to Russia. Meanwhile, there's conflicting messaging about peace talks. The U.S. stopped bombing Iran after 13 straight days, and Trump insists friendly talks are ongoing. But Iran denies any direct talks are happening.
We're having good talks, so we'll see what happens. I think there's a good chance that something could happen, and if it does, good. If it doesn't, we go back to doing what we were doing 2 days ago.
With the Strait of Hormuz still shut down, Americans here at home are paying the price. When the war started in February, gas prices averaged $2.98 per gallon. Today, the average is $4.11. But during a visit to Michigan, President Trump claimed, without evidence, everything is cheaper since the start of the war.
Now eggs are much lower than they were when we first started, and that's true with everything else.
A new Pew poll shows only 24% of Americans give Trump's economy a positive review. 60% say his policies have made things worse. As the midterm elections quickly approach in November, just 4 months away, Republicans are getting more worried the unpopular war will hurt them. Karen Hua, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, singer David must stand trial in a teen's murder. Fox News' Ted Linder has more from that case and evidence presented by the Los Angeles County DA.
It turns out singer David will have to go on trial to face charges in a 14-year-old's murder.
The judge has agreed 100% with the prosecution that the evidence is sufficient to hold David Anthony Burke accountable for these charges.
Celeste Rivas Hernandez was killed, dismembered, and found in the trunk of David's impounded Tesla last year. The disturbing details of her murder were presented at a preliminary hearing for David, which lasted 5 days. And with the judge's ruling Monday, the death penalty could be on the table for the 21-year-old singer.
It is something that we will consider on whether or not we will seek the death penalty. At this point, the death penalty determination has not been made.
Prosecutors say Rivas Hernandez had plans to expose their relationship, which set David off. And they pointed to the teen's arrival at David's Hollywood Hills home on April 23rd of 2025, arguing that's when she was killed.
We will be seeking a verdict of guilt on the 3 counts of which he will be charged: first-degree murder with the special circumstances of lying in wait, doing it for financial gain, and eliminating a witness in connection with that case, mutilation of human remains, and engaging in a continuous series of sexual acts with a minor that are lewd and lascivious acts.
David has pleaded not guilty, and his lawyers argue that the murder evidence was insufficient. They declined to comment outside the court on Monday. For now, David will be held without bail, with an arraignment scheduled for next month. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News.
With a little less than half of 2026 still to go, measles cases across the country are already topping record-breaking numbers from last year. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recorded 2,318 cases of measles as of last Thursday. The total surpasses last year's 2,289 cases, which was the worst year for the disease in the U.S. in more than 3 decades. 2026 has now become the most problematic year for measles since 1991. This comes as international health officials are set to meet in November to decide if the U.S. has lost its measles-free status. The U.S. declared the disease eliminated back in 2000 thanks to high vaccination rates, but numbers have dipped below 95%, which is considered necessary to prevent outbreaks. Meanwhile, health officials say it's impossible to record all of measles cases, citing how some people get sick but don't get treatment. Now to a new bombshell in the killings of 4 Idaho college students. Brian Kohberger, after pleading guilty to the murders, is now proclaiming his innocence. This morning, self-confessed killer Brian Kohberger is seeking to withdraw his guilty plea, claiming he was coerced into admitting that he stabbed 4 University of Idaho students. Police linked Kohberger to the scene using DNA evidence. Kohberger, who had no known connections to the victims, admitted to the killings at the time, though he never provided a motive. Now, in a handwritten petition, Kohberger is asking for the case to go to trial. Critics suggest this could show that Kohberger always planned to claim a false confession to manipulate the system. Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll learn all about Everjoy Flower Stand in Herman. This and more as Good Morning Maine continues.
Honey, where's the countertop?
I sent it out to the granite shop this morning to be replaced.
Wow!
The quickest turnaround in the business, the Granite Shop in Sedgwick.
Live from the Maine Lobster Festival in Rockland, it's the Lobster Crate Races. Watch fearless racers dash across floating lobster crates. Will they make it or take a spectacular splash? Who will stay on their feet and who will take the plunge? Don't miss the Lobster Crate Races live from the Maine Lobster Festival, Sunday, August 2nd at 2 p.m. only on Fox 22.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
A week-long camp through the University of Maine's Cooperative Extension seeks to teach kids about the importance of growing and harvesting their own food. Our Sam Miller shares more.
Monday marked day number 1 of UMaine's Farm to Table Camp, where youths aged 9 through 12 engage in activities like hands-on agriculture and culinary arts.
A knife is in our hand.
For the past 4 years, the Farm to Table Camp is giving kids in 4th through 6th grade a unique opportunity to connect with the local food system through first-hand experience. After harvesting produce in the morning, campers made their way to the UMaine Cooperative Extension office in Bangor. There they learned about kitchen safety and knife skills before cooking their own healthy meals. Campers split into 3 groups, each tasked with making different items, such as vegetable pinwheels, crepes, and spring rolls. UMaine Cooperative Extension horticulturalist Kate Garland is excited to give the campers this type of opportunity and hopes they take away some valuable lessons.
I want them to remember how their food is grown and what goes into that and how they can play a role in the food system, whether they become farmers themselves or if they just become someone that enjoys it in their own kitchen.
After cooking, the campers got to dig in and share their meals amongst their peers. They say their food tastes better when they produce it themselves.
I think when it's something that you picked or harvested or grew, it makes the whole experience a lot more enjoyable, and I think this is definitely one of my favorite camps I've done this summer.
The camp runs all week from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and concludes on Friday, July 31st. In Bangor, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Tuesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes. Now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote, 207-263-3421. Alrighty, here we go this morning. We have no advisories in effect. We had a little bit of precipitation to the northwest earlier overnight, but now we are nice and quiet across the state. We'll have some clouds moving in throughout the daytime period, but we are going to stay dry thanks to high pressure again that is right nearby. As we do zoom things out, there is some energy moving in, some showers and thunderstorms to parts of the northeast, but again, we will stay dry today and also in the parts of tomorrow, but also showers and thunderstorms moving into our forecast period coming up. But for today, here's what we're looking at. So a partly cloudy sky today. Notice some precipitation to the west. We'll have more clouds moving in later on tonight. Yes, some fog as well. But as we head towards your Wednesday, the clouds will continue to linger. So for today, partly cloudy, breezy out there with highs in the mid-80s and that south wind at around 25 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward, again, a partly cloudy sky with temperatures in the 80s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
Thank you, Devin. It was perhaps one of the loveliest wildlife births ever to take place in a controlled environment assisted by experts right here in the U.S. But besides lovely, this baby girl is being called a miracle. Here's ABC's Danny New.
This is the face of what some are calling a scientific first, and also a miracle.
I am worried that no one's going to pay attention to either one of us during this interview.
It's highly likely.
This 2-week-old giraffe is named Milani, and when she was born at Tanganyika Wildlife Park in Wichita 2 weeks ago, it was premature and via a C-section. As caretaker Lindley Schmidt will tell you,
I think in the beginning I probably gave her 5% chance of living.
This began with a sad situation about 2 months ago when a pregnant older giraffe named Virtue was not doing well. Through testing, it became clear she was not going to make it. And when Lynn Lee's team consulted with experts from around the country about saving the calf, they said,
it sounds like your choices are lose them both or try to save the calf, but no calf has ever survived this procedure.
Well, they went through with trying to save Milani, and Lynn Lee says it took 2 minutes for her to take her first breath.
Like a medical blanket, I guess.
Then it became a 24/7 neonatal caretaking marathon.
We rented an oxygen machine. We had her on continuous oxygen, continuous fluids.
You got it, lady.
Yep.
Yay!
But soon enough, they were helping Milani stand on her own 4 hooves and take her first steps, but while still leaving plenty of time for cuddles, even when there was work to be done.
She likes to sleep on your lap and rest her head on you. And
If she took a nap on me, I think I would disintegrate.
Lynn Lee says Milani has made tremendous strides, but of course none of these extra machines and helping hands have been cheap. Thankfully, folks online have immediately fallen in love with Milani and have donated more than $45,000 to help their team take care of this little fighter.
And now look at her.
yep. She's like, I'm fine. I don't know what you guys were worried about.
And Lynn Lee says there are still a couple more items left on her health checklist, but soon Milani should be able to join their herd of giraffes, which has more than 15. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Well, still to come here this morning, Max Sturm with sports. Don't go away.
Webb's RV Center has a 4-acre lot with over 75 previously owned campers all on sale, plus another 4 acres of new RVs and motorhomes. Webb's RV will take anything in trade. You can buy a camper anywhere, but be sure to buy your next camper at your local neighbor. A website can't service your RV, but Webb's RV will. And they have the biggest service department in the state of Maine to help you enjoy your RV or motorhome.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
This summer, the pages come alive at the Newport Riverwalk Festival. This year's theme is books, so bring your imagination to life inspired by your favorite stories. Decorate your bike or parade float around your favorite book characters and worlds. Think you got talent? Step into the spotlight during the talent show for your chance to win a cash prize. Enjoy music, food, and activities for all ages at Newport's favorite summer tradition, the Newport Riverwalk Festival, where creativity and community come together.
What is Spectrum Internet? It's the most reliable internet.
It's connecting with my followers out there and in here.
It's secure internet for you and your family.
It's keeping kids like us safe online.
It's Wi-Fi that stays on even when the power doesn't.
Staying connected no matter what.
So what's Spectrum Internet? It's everything you want it to be. Switch today at spectrum.com.
30 years living that Washington, D.C. lifestyle. That'll change a person. Getting rich from insider stock trading should be illegal. But Susan Collins doesn't think so. Susan Collins wants to keep it so senators can play the stock market, make millions of dollars doing it. Why we struggle to pay for gas, groceries, health insurance, the basics. For them to get all that money while we're paying more, it's not right. It's not right. Tell Susan Collins to stop this congressional stock trade.
I'm on Beat Shazam. Jamie Foxx is back with $1 million. Beat Shazam season premiere tonight on Fox.
Welcome back in, folks. We'll start with Senior Legion Playoff Baseball. The final round began on Monday, and we've got 2 games for you right now. The Bangor Comrades versus Oxford Hills Legion was the first matchup of the day, and Bangor's Gavin Glanville-True gets on base thanks to a short pitch right there. Another gets on with a walk, and then Kyle Johnson steps up, and he absolutely crushes this ball. It comes oh so close to getting out, but regardless, it results in 2 RBIs as Bangor takes a 2-0 lead. Top of the first finally ends when Caleb Peavy catches this one, and now it's going to be Oxford's turn at the plate. But they won't stay on long thanks to plays like this. Ethan Sproul lays out to make this catch and out. And then at the next at bat for Bangor, Ian Bourdreau hits this one out, and he gives Owen Glanville-True the time to get home, and it's 3-0 Bangor in the second. The first hit for Oxford comes in the third, but the play is shut down very quickly thanks to this catch that ends the inning, and Bangor moves on with a 6-1 victory. This is double elimination, so Oxford Hills takes on the Trenton Acadians. First inning, Oxford's first stint at the plate ends when this hit is caught by Trent Goss. And then at the bottom of the first inning, Jackson Berry's hit goes short, but Oxford isn't able to clean it up, and around comes Dawson Curtis. He's going to go ahead and slide onto home plate as the Acadians take a 1-0 lead early. It was a very defensive game after this. The Acadians, they have a hit here and it has big play potential, but Jackson Stack makes the play at center field to end the second inning, still at 1-0. Oxford was able to find their way onto base with hits like this. Bases loaded several times, but they just could not put a score on the board. And then in the third, Ryan Winchester sends this one out. Another Oxford misplay. Hollis Grindal gets home. Trenton stays alive with a 7-1 victory. Let's go national now, starting with the Red Sox, who made a big trade over the weekend. The Sox got active ahead of the August 3rd trade deadline and acquired strong hitting infielder Curtis Mead from the Washington Nationals. In exchange, Boston sends over left-handed pitcher Connolly Early. With the Nationals up until this point, Mead had a .254 batting average, 72 hits, 17 home runs, and 48 RBIs. Given that Boston just went on a record-tying 15-game win streak and are now in position to make the playoffs after a pretty disappointing start to the season, this move makes sense to provide further depth in the infield. Interim manager Chad Tracy says that he and his team are sad to see Early go, but are excited to have another hitter in the building.
Connolly Early is loved around here. He's an amazing kid. He's a good pitcher. And he's, friends with a lot of guys in there. So, that part of it's hard. But at the same time, I feel like, you could feel the vibes in the sense that guys feel like we went out and did something to try to make our club better as far as, adding a bat in the lineup. So I think there was excitement about that.
Some Patriots news now. New England has finally inked a deal with second-round pick Gabe Jacas. The linebacker out of Illinois was selected with the 55th overall pick in this year's draft and was a standout in college, totaling 183 tackles, 27 sacks in 4 years, including 43 tackles and 11 sacks in 2025 alone. The Packs inked this deal for the standard 4-year rookie contract worth $8.6 million, and that figure is largely determined by where in the draft he was selected, so this number comes out about right for a mid-second round pick. The contract took a while to finalize, not because of a monetary dispute, but rather an injury-related one. Jacas underwent knee surgery and a knee procedure earlier in the offseason that they were not aware of, and that is why the deal took so long. Jacas will join an already stout New England defense that was largely the reason that they won 3 postseason games to advance to the Super Bowl. And the Pats started training camp this weekend, and on opening day, it wasn't the players that stole the show. The Pats began their training camp with Patriots Day, an annual pet adoption day put on by Robert Kraft and his family, where players take the field with these 4-legged rookies, hoping to find them new homes. Each and every one of these dogs was or is up for adoption, and the team has had quite the success with the program in the past. Here's to hoping that each and every one of these dogs gets signed to a lifetime contract with their forever home soon. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
You know what today is? It's Tuesday. Just reminding you that whatever day of the week you get hurt, we're your go-to lawyers. If you've been hurt, call us right now. Hurt in an accident, what do you do? Call 222-2222.
Listen to the heartbeat of a man. Chevy trucks help you get to more of the good stuff. Bring it all out for the big days. And show up strong wherever the road takes you.
Get 4.9% APR for 60 months on all 2026 Silverado HD models. Or get $1,000 purchase allowance with the Duramax diesel engine. Plus, current eligible Chevy owners get an additional $2,000.
So we found a new date spot.
With the best food in town. We're talking fresh sushi, fancy cheese, and fruit, plus dessert.
All our favorites, all in one place. So good.
Try it.
You have to try it.
Oh.
You gotta try this sushi. It's always so fresh at Hannaford.
You just can't get this anywhere else. And here, we get to pick our own music.
Hundreds of quality items made fresh daily. If you know, you go.
I'm
Deborah Norville, and this is The Perfect Line.
Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals. By the way,
I have no idea.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Welcome back, everyone. A woman in Herman is finding the balance between motherhood and life's demands, all thanks to her time spent in the garden. Our Jody Hersey takes us there.
So I'm cutting with something in mind, the perfect amount of fillers, focals, spiky statement flowers.
At the end of Maple Leaf Lane in Herman, you'll find Everjoy Flowers, a homemade flower stand created by 33-year-old Kayla Alexander.
It's just really something that just felt right for me in the postpartum period of having kids. And it just kind of made me slow down and be patient and wait for things. And I fell in love with gardening in the process.
This wife and mother of 3 began her blossoming business with 5 raised beds that soon expanded into a healthy-sized flower garden.
I'm growing currently right now delphiniums, feverfew, yarrow, straw flowers, and then I also really lean towards growing a lot of flowers that you can preserve and dry, so it gives you that everlasting joy.
When her own home became overrun with flowers, she decided to start selling her beautiful bounty to others.
Kayla says since opening her flower stand, a lot of the neighborhood kids have stopped by asking if they can make their own bouquets, which she gladly allows them to do.
It actually turned out so much better than I thought it would. A lot of people are really supportive. They come by and leave nice notes, and they come and stop by and share my page, and it's been amazing.
A mom who has found a way to turn this season of her life into an elegant opportunity. In Herman, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
You can check out Kayla's bouquets and learn more by going to Everjoy Flowers on Facebook. Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
All righty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes. Now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote, 207-263-3421. All righty, here we go. Wave heights this morning not looking too bad. Right around 2 feet according to the buoys right here. While further off towards the north and east, a lot lower, so overall no advisories in effect along the coast or inland either. So overall we're looking very nice as we start things off this morning. A little bit active farther out towards sea this morning, ranging from around 3 to 6 feet. Water temperatures right now, we're in the middle to upper 60s right nearby, a little bit cooler further off towards the north and east. We have upper 50s according to this buoy to upper 60s right there, and lower 70s farther down toward the south. On land this morning we're nice and quiet. You do notice we have a little bit of rain. There it is right there. That developed overnight, but that has since fizzled out. So overall, a quiet morning across the state. Our area of low pressure getting its act together. There it is right there. And that's going to be slowly moving into our neck of the woods over the next few days, bringing with it showers and, yes, even some thunderstorms. So overall, a partly cloudy sky expected today. Some rain at times to the north and also to the west. We'll be under a mostly cloudy sky tonight with areas of dense fog. And through your Wednesday, will be mostly cloudy. A few breaks in the clouds at times throughout your Wednesday. And then by Wednesday night, the clouds continue. The rain's going to try to move in, albeit slowly, but it will eventually move in. UV index forecast for today, it'll still be up there at a 7. That's high. Burn time of 30 minutes, so hats, sunglasses, sunscreen, and shade still necessary to avoid a bad sunburn. So for today, partly cloudy and breezy with highs in the mid-80s, and that south wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. Later on tonight, mostly cloudy. We'll have areas of dense fog with lows in the upper 50s, and that southeast wind at about 5 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, we have lower 80s, mostly cloudy and breezy, and that southeast wind at about 25 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast. Thursday, showers and thunderstorms with highs in the lower 70s. Lower 80s coming up for your Friday with more showers and thunderstorms. We dry out as we head towards your Saturday. Partly cloudy with highs in the mid-80s.
Are your basement walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Our stable lock wall system offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
The Chevy Equinox doesn't miss a beat, with dependability for the miles ahead.
Hey Google, text the block party crew, we're almost there.
And tech to make them smoother, making every arrival that much bigger.
Or get this low mileage lease on this 2026 Chevy Equinox LT for around $329 per month. Visit your main Chevy dealers.
I got hurt in this accident and the insurance company isn't offering me nearly enough money.
If you've been hurt, you deserve to be free from your car accident problems, free from dealing with the insurance company, and free from your financial struggles. Call the Twos, it's free.
I made a free call to Lowry Law and they got me $275,000. The Twos set me free.
I'm your go-to guy.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
When every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
Yeah.
You had me a trash panda. That was gangster.
It pays to choose wisely.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it!
25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Yesterday was National Korean War Veterans Armistice Day. A ceremony was held in Bangor to commemorate the signing of the agreement on July 27, 1953, that established the ceasefire. Dusty Fisher, organizer of the Bangor event, says many of the local Korean War veterans feel like it is the forgotten war.
But they feel that they've been kind of left out. So to have an event like this and having you folks here to publicize it is good for their spirits, their souls.
More than 36,000 Americans died in the war and more than 103,000 were wounded. Fisher says a lot of the local Korean War veterans are gone now, but it is still important to remember the service that they gave to our country. Meanwhile, a lemur apparently given up for raising by its mother in a zoo is now running rings around life and living. Diana, a ring-tailed lemur born in Columbia's Cali Zoo in June, is grateful for a hand-up by the loving hands of zookeepers who noticed she wasn't being tended to by her mother in the first 8 hours of life. The baby lemur was being left on the ground for long periods, an unusual behavior by the mother, and according to a zoo veterinarian, the zookeepers provided hand-rearing and lots of feeding. Diana was 15 1/100ths of a pound at birth, but thanks to the constant feeding and hand-rearing, she's now chunky 2/10ths of a pound, and she has 24-hour monitoring by a group of caregivers. They're also trying to reduce her human dependency by using a stuffed toy to simulate the mom when she feeds. Ring-tailed lemurs are native to Madagascar and are an endangered species due to habitat loss, hunting, and illegal trafficking. Diana's care is a part of the Cali Zoo's conservation work for threatened species. And it was a perfect day to love on some cats in Colorado Springs. On Saturday, Cat Fest brought out plenty of furry friends looking for their forever homes. The rescue group, Look What the Cat Brought In, facilitated these adoptions, bringing 6 cats to the festival. Shelter organizers say that events like these in the Cat Fest provide people with the chance to observe how friendly, social, and loved their cats truly are. And since 2022, there have been 599 adoptions at Cat Fest in Colorado. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Today on 25 Words or Less, he quit medicine to pursue a career in the arts. Oh my God, and I thought I disappointed my parents. It's Matt Eisman. And joining Matt are boyfriend and girlfriend Mark and Darby. He won an Emmy recently, proving once and for all that you